Have you ever stopped to think about the emotional weight some professions carry? We're talking about those jobs that demand not only exceptional skills but also a level of mental resilience that borders on superhuman. Imagine waking up every day knowing your work involves saving lives, facing deadly dangers, or making decisions that could alter the course of many people's futures. This kind of routine affects more than just the body, it reaches deep into the soul. In this video, we'll dive into how high-risk professions can take a toll on psychological health, and why caring for the mental well-being of these workers is more than a necessity, it's a matter of survival. Get ready for a journey of reflection and empathy. High-risk professions go far beyond the glamour portrayed in movies and TV shows. Behind the polished uniforms, the quick decision-making, and the determined expressions lies an invisible battle against stress, anxiety, and, in many cases, depression. These are jobs that require more than courage, they demand mental preparation that often goes unrecognized or undervalued. Police officers, firefighters, doctors, air traffic controllers, and oil rig workers are just a few examples. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the unique challenges faced in each of these fields and understand how the psychological impact can be devastating and what can be done to ease it. Being a police officer means staying on high alert at all times. It doesn't matter if it's day or night, raining or sunny, the job demands constant vigilance. Police officers face extreme risk situations, including shootouts, high-speed chases, and direct confrontations with danger. The psychological toll is significant. High rates of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, anxiety, and relationship issues are common. Studies show that police officers are more prone to burnout and depression. What's worse, the stigma surrounding mental health often keeps them from seeking help. Ongoing training tends to focus primarily on technical skills and rarely includes emotional support. To make matters worse, many police environments don't encourage vulnerability, making it even harder for officers to admit they need help. Long shifts and frequent exposure to traumatic scenes further amplify the negative effects. As a result, many turn to harmful coping strategies such as substance abuse or social withdrawal. Firefighters are the heroes who run toward danger while everyone else runs away. Fires, collapses, and rescues in extreme conditions are part of their daily routine. The trauma they accumulate from dealing with tragic deaths, severe injuries, and life-or-death situations takes a heavy toll on their psychological well-being. Many firefighters struggle with insomnia, recurring nightmares, and a constant sense of alertness, even when off-duty. This constant pressure can lead to issues like substance abuse and emotional isolation. The physically demanding nature of the job also contributes to mental exhaustion, as it requires a high level of physical fitness and endurance. Often, the emotional burden is not openly discussed, creating a workplace culture where mental suffering becomes invisible. The psychological impact is not always immediate, it can surface years later in the form of PTSD or chronic depression. Policies that raise awareness about mental health and normalize open dialogue are essential to reducing this impact. Support systems, regular psychological evaluations, and safe spaces for open conversation can make a profound difference in the lives of these professionals. On the front lines of healthcare, doctors and nurses face daily challenges that affect both the mind and the heart. The pressure to save lives, make rapid decisions, and cope with inevitable losses can be emotionally crushing. During pandemics or large-scale crises, that pressure increases exponentially. The result? High levels of burnout, anxiety, and depression. These professionals often neglect their own health to care for others, creating a dangerous cycle of physical and emotional exhaustion. Excessive working hours and a lack of adequate rest make the situation even worse. The constant fear of making mistakes, coupled with an intense demand for perfection, creates a mentally draining environment. Many also face moral dilemmas when resources are limited and they're forced to make heartbreaking decisions, adding an extra layer of stress. Psychological support in these settings is often inadequate, leaving professionals without the necessary tools to cope with the emotional demands of their jobs. Healthcare institutions must invest in emotional support programs to ensure that these heroes can continue doing their life-saving work without sacrificing their own mental health. It's not just a matter of caring for caregivers, it's a matter of sustaining the entire healthcare system. Few professions demand the level of concentration required of air traffic controllers. With thousands of lives in their hands every second, even a small mistake can be catastrophic. The constant pressure can lead to symptoms of anxiety, insomnia, and extreme fatigue. In addition, the intense workload and lack of proper breaks make these professionals especially vulnerable to burnout. Mental health is often overlooked in this field, despite its direct impact on operational safety. The work environment is highly isolated and laser-focused. Controllers must deal with unpredictable schedules and overnight shifts, which directly disrupt their sleep cycles. Prolonged sleep deprivation can worsen psychological issues and impair decision-making. On top of that, intense training and high expectations create a culture of perfectionism, which can discourage professionals from seeking mental health support. While technology is essential in this role, it also adds layers of stress, as system failures can place even more pressure on workers already operating in high-stakes conditions. It is vital that psychological support programs be made available and actively encouraged to ensure these professionals receive the care and attention they need for their mental well-being. Far from home, isolated at sea, and exposed to extreme conditions, offshore oil rig workers face challenges that go beyond physical risk. Loneliness, social isolation, and the pressure to perform in a hazardous environment create fertile ground for mental health issues. Depression, anxiety, and alcohol abuse are common among these workers, who often struggle to access support due to the lack of mental health services at their worksites. These workers may spend weeks or even months away from their families, which intensifies feelings of disconnection and isolation. The routine is exhausting, with long shifts and little time for rest. The dangerous nature of the work and the constant possibility of accidents keep them in a state of heightened alert, making it difficult to relax. Additionally, the lack of privacy in shared accommodations can add another layer of stress. Mental health programs tailored specifically for offshore workers are crucial to minimize the psychological impact of such a demanding lifestyle. Being in the military is not just a job, it's a calling that requires immense personal and family sacrifices. Beyond the physical dangers of combat, military personnel bear a heavy psychological burden. Long separations from loved ones, exposure to violent events, and the demands of strict discipline can lead to serious mental health issues such as PTSD, anxiety, and depression. In times of war or during high-risk missions, these challenges become even more intense. Many military members find it difficult to reintegrate into civilian life after their service, which can worsen emotional struggles. This transition often comes with feelings of alienation, a loss of identity, and difficulty adjusting to a less structured environment. Without proper support, these challenges can escalate into long-term mental health problems. That's why psychological support and reintegration programs are essential, not only for the well-being of the individuals who serve but also for the broader community that welcomes them home. Truck drivers face challenges that often go unnoticed by the general public. Long hours on the road, social isolation, and tight delivery deadlines create a high-stress environment that can lead to burnout and mental exhaustion. Sleep deprivation, which is common in this profession, contributes to mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Spending long stretches away from home and family also fuels feelings of loneliness and disconnection. On top of that, the lack of access to mental health services while on the road makes it even harder for drivers to seek help when they need it. Many truck drivers resort to coping mechanisms like caffeine overload, poor eating habits, or emotional suppression just to get through their routes. Remote psychological assistance and improved working conditions are crucial steps toward promoting better mental health in this sector. These professionals literally keep the economy moving. They deserve to be supported both physically and emotionally. Whether on land, in the air, or at sea, high-risk professions come with a steep psychological cost. These professionals are true heroes, but even heroes need care. It's essential for society to value not just the incredible work they do, but also their mental well-being. If you know someone who works in a high-risk job, take a moment to check in. Ask how they're really doing, offer your support, and encourage them to seek help when needed. Just one conversation can make a huge difference. If you made it this far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot and allows us to keep bringing this content to more people. And before you go, there's another video on the screen right now that you're definitely going to love. Thanks for being with us, and see you next time.